technology, you can still make it from Chicago to Paris faster on a 20-year-old 747 than your PowerPoint can make it by electronic mail. I want to warn you, like my colleague Dean Becker, I'm neither blessed nor hindered with a great deal of knowledge about patents. But I am a true believer in capital markets. Capital markets can solve issues like inefficiencies and transparency, and that's what IPXI is set out to do. Within the world of IP monetization, I want to put IPXI in the right spot. We are not an exchange for the buying or selling of patents. We are basically an alternative to the bilateral, non-exclusive licensing model. With us, a number of companies believe that that model, the bilateral licensing model, is inefficient, non-transparent, and an unlevel playing field. IPXI has been talked about for many, many years, and to date we have real investors, including Philips of the Netherlands, the Chicago Board Options Exchange, which is the world's largest options exchange, and we have now a total of 35 members, 16 of which have committed to issue IP on our exchange with a value of $50 million per company or per exchange. Some of these companies include Philips, Sony, Ford, Xerox PARC, JP Morgan, universities like Notre Dame, Chicago, the regions of California, and laboratories like Lawrence Livermore and Pacific Northwest. We are actually in final preparations of bringing our first 3 offerings to market. That could happen later this year or very early in 2013. So what is IPXI's model? Allow me to give you an example of a Ford Motor Company patent or patent bundle that is needed in that's technology for a valve that is needed in a car if it is to burn ethanol. Under the traditional bilateral licensing model, should Ford Motor Company want to license this to other automotive companies, they need to start individual negotiations. Typically what happens, Toyota or Honda or Nissan, they send a little army of attorneys your way arguing prior art or invalidity, or they don't use it. And in a good scenario, Ford would end up with a cross-license. Ford agrees not to sue Toyota, Toyota does agree not to sue Ford. No exchange of value. In a very good world, Toyota will take a license, will pay a royalty, but has no idea whether they have gotten the same terms as any of their competitors. So we'd like to change that. So the model that we have chosen is one of a public offering of a patent portfolio. So under this model, Ford Motor Company would put together a prospectus detailing their technologies, listing the patents, any litigation history, any licensing history, a detailed description of the market. Ultimately coming to the conclusion, and I'm making up these numbers, that for the life of that patent portfolio, let's say 50 million cars will be built that need this technology. So they go to market with 50 million unit license rights. That's really the contract that we will be trading. A unit license right is almost like a carbon credit. It is the right to use the technology in the manufacture or sale of one product. So if Toyota manufactures 5 million cars that need this valve, they need to buy 5 million unit license rights. The market does a number of things. First of all, Toyota, if they buy the 5 million unit license rights, and these are all standardized terms, the same for everyone, they can put those unit license rights on their balance sheet and expense against it. If they bought too many, they can sell any excess in the secondary market that IPXI will run and manage. If they didn't buy enough, they can buy from interested parties in the marketplace. So this ultimately will create a very efficient way of acquiring technologies. From a licensor perspective, it's a very efficient way of monetizing your IP. It reduces a lot of unnecessary transaction cost and gives easy access. And this is specifically, I think, important for the smaller companies. The smaller companies, small and medium-sized companies, as well as universities, typically do not have the resources to monetize their intellectual property. If they have strong IP, but they need to litigate this in court, typically they are not able to do this. Through a number of different processes, IPXI will put those companies basically on the same level as the big boys. We think that that will ultimately drive innovation. And as you all know, innovation is the big driver of economic development, and economic development creates jobs, and that's what almost every economy today needs. So IPXI is still an unproven model, but we will, as I indicated, we will be going to market with our first offerings in the next few months. And I want to thank you for your attention.